the aim was to make the final, Sam. You've done that today. How satisfying is that?
Satisfying is probably not the word I'd use. I mean, it's the first part of the season. It's what you're aiming for, is to qualify for finals. So that's just a start, though. Like that gives you the foot in the door and gives you a chance. And there's a part of you that looks back and says, okay, we've done a decent job up to this point to get to there, but there's plenty of work to do. So I feel like our game's in okay shape at the moment. Doing some things well and giving ourselves every chance.
Assuming based on your assessment of your game against Collingwood last week, you're looking at today's game, there probably would have been some more aspects that you might not have been happy with as well. Yeah,
I mean, there was definitely periods of the game today that were not what we're after. I thought we started the game well, and we looked sharp in the first quarter, and they changed a few things which troubled us at different times. It took a bit of the sting out of the game in the second quarter, and the second half of the second quarter was probably the worst spectacle of footy that we've played in this year. And so we probably went away from some things that we pride ourselves on, and gave them a little bit of a sniff just before half time, and we played some good footy for the majority of the day, but certainly there was some periods that we weren't particularly good.
How big is next week, Sam? How big is next week in terms of where you finish on the ladder? Getting it, you win, you get in the top four. It's a huge game to gather, obviously, against the ladder finalists, but just the importance of next week in terms of how you set up.
I mean, I haven't done the predictor just yet, and there's a few games to go between now and then, so I think by Sunday night we'll know a lot more about what it means for us. But next week, the thing that we know is the higher the ladder you finish, the AFL's made it, so the higher the ladder you finish, the better you draw in the final. So that's going to be a hugely important game against, they were pretty sharp last night, weren't they, Brisbane? So they probably got their bit of a shock the week before, and they came out last night and thought they were first class. So it's going to be a massive game for us, and we're very much looking forward to taking on the reigning premier up in the home deck. We've played there for a while, and looking forward to getting up to Brisbane and taking them on.
With the race for the top four so close, and how frustrating were the amount of shots on goal that the team conceded late in the game? They conceded the last 5 shots on goal and ended up losing that last quarter by 7 points.
No, not frustrated by it. No.
Just
sorry, do you want to?
Sam, from the coaching perspective, you must have been delighted with the game of Jarman Impey today.
Yeah, I mean, there were some individual performances today that you'd be really proud of. Obviously, Jarman is one of those. His speed and energy in the game on offence is probably what everyone sees, but he had a couple of really big defensive efforts where he had a couple of rundown tackles, but he also covers for opponents pretty well. I've really enjoyed his season, particularly the second half has been first class.
Just out of interest, how was your career looking at 33, Sam?
33.
33, just what the number 19's doing this year at 33 years of age?
I mean, I think Gunners has been... I think I didn't realise this, but it came up on the scoreboard that he's kicked more goals in this season than any other year of his career, so I didn't actually realise that. I think the thing about his career is he's played lots of... Even though he's played the same position, he's been a different level of importance to his team at different stages. Quite often he's been... he was the third behind, Lance and Jared at different stages, and now he started the majority of this year and even last year as basically a defensive forward, and to be able to play that role, and then now to be I would say a lock for the All-Australian side. I think it's a pretty special time for him as a 33-year-old.
You've touched on it a few times already this season, but it's just, I think the stage in his first 271 games he never kicked 7 goals, and his last 8 games he's done it twice. So
I don't know what he was doing for the first 2. But it's. I mean, I thought there was a bit of something poetic about him doing that today. With, if you think about Luke Bruce's press conferences and things during the week, he talked about they were so competitive and they always competing against each other. And every time I'd kick 4, he kicked 5, or I'd kick 5 and he'd kick 4. Like there was always this competitiveness. And it's Luke Bruce big day, and of course Jack goes out and kicks 7. So there's something poetic about their relationship and what they've brought it together towards the end of this season so far.
You would have started the season with expectations and things are going to go right, things are going to go wrong. You've obviously had some big setbacks. Will they go together, etc., etc. How big a bonus has Jack been this season for you?
I mean, I think at the start of the season we looked at Jack and said his major role, and the thing we rely on with Jack, is his influence off the field. So whatever he can produce on the field is a bonus, and that's great. And we'll take whatever games that he plays. If he plays 5 or 10 or 20, that's great. But realistically, his value to the team is going to be what he does off the field in the coaching of Kelsher and Mitch Lewis and Marbior and Ginnivan and Watson and Butler and Ramsden and all these other, Scaife and probably forgotten a couple, but there's a whole bunch of forwards that he helps Adrian Hickmott with the development of those guys, and Luke Bruce does the same. So really they're coached by 3 guys, and it's a great way to have your forward operations work. And what he's been able to do on the field is probably beyond most of our thoughts and dreams of what it would have been, but certainly we want to get out of our players' way in putting ceilings on them. Whatever they can achieve gives them the freedom to do it, and he obviously believes he's got great footy in front of him and not going to get in his way.
How did you assess the games of players of the calibre of McDonald, Warple and Ward, some guys that in that middle bracket that just keep performing week after week and keep making things a little bit more tough working through that midfield group?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Connor McDonald, he finally got the goal at the end. I think he had 4 or 5 shots, but he only nailed the one. I'm glad he did that one because it was a goal assist for Punky. But I think he's enormously important for us with his work rate, and obviously Dylan Moore was pretty strong today, and he's sort of the second fiddle for Dylan. So when Dylan's up and going, it often is Connor McDonald that's helping him and supporting him in his role. So those two work really well together. I think Wardy and Warps both have been really good for us. I think they, probably Warps had a bit of a lull in his form maybe a month ago, but he sort of bounced out of that, and he had a great bit of composure and power in his game. And Wardy just adds that touch of class that you need every now and then. Some of his kicking and decision making around the arc I thought was straightened us up a bit today.
Just back on Gunston. I mean, it's obviously been such a massive bonus based on what you're saying. It's such a tight top 8. Could those unexpected things, be the difference between top 4, a prelim or a granny or even a premiership in such a tight comp?
Oh, I mean, most of the finals, they're going to be divided. They're going to be decided by small percentages, and whether there's going to be some things that we get right that's going to give us an advantage. There's going to be a couple of things that we get wrong that'll give the opposition an advantage. And having Jack in good form for the majority of the year is obviously one that's on our side.
How important were Germany and Carl Amon's run from defence?
Yeah, I thought. I already mentioned Jars, and I think Carl. He's been really underrated. He's been sat on a bit in the last month, but his running power and defensive, his ability to create a spare for us when we need it and to get over to contests. And obviously we've got some tools in the back half that are halving all their contests, and you need those smalls that can get over and clear it out. And I think Carl and Jars, they worked really well together tonight, and they were waxing up a bit at different stages, and they used the ball so well. I think that having potent halfback seems to be quite a key to a lot of teams that are playing really good footy. And next week we'll come up against Zorko, and I think he's even older than Jack Gunston, and I think it might even be his 300th. So early shout out to him for that. But it's going to be a big game, and the battle of the halfbacks is obviously takes a lot of time, and almost every week takes a lot of time in the coach's box.
Anyone that might come in consideration for selection next week?
Selection-wise, I'm not sure. Harry Morrison might be a touch and go for next week. I think he was. He didn't come up quite. We hoped he might be ready for this week, but he's probably a test still for next week. So he's the only one off the top of my head. I think there's a guy like Josh Weddle. He'll have scans in another couple of weeks, so he won't be available if that's who you were getting at. Daisy will just stay on the bench, unfortunately.
Melbourne's midfield are highly touted, yet you outscored them for clearances 49-12. I mean, how pleasing was that?
Yeah, I mean, outscoring them was good. I thought we got a bit of a touch-up in centre bounce in particular. Gawn, honestly, would he just retire? He's driving everyone crazy. He's so good. And I thought Meekie couldn't have... I had a really good chat with him in the last quarter and about all the things that he was trying. And I thought Meekie did a really good job, but Gawn is just a very, very good player. So they had a lot of potent play, and we struggled to get the ball into our front half because of their centre bounce stuff. the scoring, I think, was important for us, but it's as much a reflection of the forward line and being able to make the most of their chances when it does go forward, but also for them to only score 12 points from stoppage, if that's true. Is that the stat you said? From clearances. So they only, if that's, I haven't seen that stat, but if they've scored 12 points from stoppage, I think the backline deserve a lot of credit because they won plenty of them. It just means that we defended really well behind the ball, and the system that we're sort of running at stoppage obviously held up.
Did you get a clean slate, Sam?
Pardon?
Did you get a clean slate in terms of injuries?
Injury-wise, I think so. No one was. So Wizard was a bit stiff and tight out of the last game, so we had the conversation. Obviously, we wanted to get Luke on pretty early, and if we got the chance to rest Wizard, that we wanted to take it. So I was really pleased that we were able to do that and freshen him up for next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ed.